I see the Hezbollah leaders have been all disappeared.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
pretty
cool,
awesome.
huh?
And then the replacement of Nasrallah was just killed also right after, which is which is, I mean, the comedy, the inherent comedy within it is hilarious to me.
It
And
is,
then
right?
also, the reason why Israel was able to do it was because they used genies. I don't know if you heard. That's the actual. And Imam actually said that. He said they use genies, so they have like a different, a different way of going about it. That's
That's
hilarious.
brilliant. I saw some comedy about how World Guinness Record has given this new Hezbollah leader the shortest leader ever, and
That's right.
it's
Oh, that's
brilliant.
hilarious.
Yeah,
They took out a dozen, at least a dozen of the leaders. They took out the big guy, and who knows how many others? Because we don't know. And again, the media is not going to report that because it's good news for Israel. It's good news for the world. So therefore, they're not going to report that. And
of
then
course, yeah.
then then there are people crying over Nasrallah's death, like what's his name? That guy. I forgot his name, but he's a strange guy. He calls himself a communist MAGA, like communist MAGA guy.
Oh yeah, he's an influencer on X, right?
Yeah, yeah, I forgot his name, but he's all over the place. He's a leftist, he's a rightist. I don't know what he is, but he's a mess. And he said he was brokenhearted. So I said he was butt broken. He said
Yeah,
he was heartbroken about the death of Nasrallah. He's heartbroken about a mass murderer being killed. And also some Americans who hate Israel, they're like, that's not our problem. I said they killed at least 241 Americans. The Marines in 1983. They
yeah.
killed a lot of other Americans. So there should be some kind of support for this, but their Jew hatred just overrides that. So they can't quite get there. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is funny when you have this kind of like whatever hatred you have, you just don't see the comedy. And for me, the comedy
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
brilliant. The comedy is just
It's.
brilliant.
I mean, again, the guy was in and out within a second. I mean, the new leader. It's just that's hilarious. It's like, and that's where he belongs, and that's where all these guys belong. They target and murder innocent human beings, and we're supposed to what? Accept
Yeah,
their existence? Absolutely not.
yeah.
Absolutely not. And then also people, and then they try to equate them like, well, Israel killed innocents as well. Apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, these guys they target innocent people,
Yeah,
right? And then they try to equate the targeting of these savages, and sometimes they hide behind the civilians, and they get these civilians killed. They get them killed.
mm.
We're supposed to stop the world for these guys because their civilians are getting killed. Hey, they've endangered their civilians. And I got to say, some of those civilians, to me, they are guilty. They are guilty civilians because when you applaud the mass murder of innocents, I'm sorry, man. It's just if you're with those guys and you're cheerleading them on, if you die, to me, you die, truly. And then there were absolute innocents in there, of course. The children, some of the women in there, clearly. But if you're going to celebrate them as your heroes, hey, if you get caught up in the fire, so be it.
Yeah,
So be it.
yeah, absolutely. I think the whole, especially in the Western world, is very obvious. This whole idea of terrorist sympathizers and apologists, right?
Yeah.
They think it's like all fun and games, and I'm behind my keyboard, and I'm an influencer, and I can, like stand up for the civilians. But when you look at the civilians, they actually, they support it. They think these guys are our heroes. We
Absolutely.
let them build their bunkers under our apartments and homes.
Truly
So
did.
they're as guilty as the terrorists themselves, and even the people
Yeah.
who are silent about it. And they,
They're part of the enemy. I mean, they're part of the enemy. I remember 9/11 when Muslims in Paterson, New Jersey were celebrating on the rooftops. 9/11.
yeah,
Americans,
yeah,
And then you have other American Muslims. I had some cousins who wanted to go there and kick their asses because they were American first. They were Americans first.
yeah.
And then, the quote-unquote Palestinians celebrating wildly after 9/11, if you remember. These are, again, however they got there, they're there. It doesn't matter. People say, well, they were raised that way. Okay, but they're there.
Yeah, a
So
lot of
obviously
people
they
get
can't
there
go.
through conspiracy theories.
Oh,
They
yeah.
hate the deep state, and
They're
but
raised to hate. They're raised to hate. I mean,
mm,
again, we were moderate Muslims in the Bronx, New York City, right?
yeah,
Being raised there, and they admired Hitler. my family. They admired Adolf Hitler. Why? Because he killed more Jews than anyone. That's why I
Mm,
called Hitler Islam's favorite infidel.
mm,
That's not an exaggeration. It's a fact. And there was a mutual love between Hitler and the Muslims, the Muslim Brotherhood. Also, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem went to Germany during the Holocaust.
mm,
His reason to go was he wanted to expedite the Holocaust because he said he thought the Germans were being lazy. They weren't killing enough Jews.
mm.
This is no joke. He actually tried to get them going. And Hitler called Islam a muscular, masculine religion. He called Christianity a flabby religion.
Mm.
And of course, who knows what he thought about Judaism, but we can imagine. But I just know about those two interpretations of those religions because again, he saw it as just more strength, more power, more willingness to do the dirty work.
Mm.
That turn the other cheek didn't work for him. Love thy enemy didn't work for him. Kill the infidel where we find them. Okay,
Mm.
that to him resonated with him.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
you have there's reports of UNRWA in Gaza teaching Hitler philosophy at schools,
I
and
mean,
there's a lot of reports. I think Israel also reported that they found Hitler books and things in
oh yeah.
apartments. So it's
There are
infested.
stores there were stores in Palestine called Hitler.
Yeah.
And a Hitler and a Hitler too. They have because I guess to differentiate between the different Hitler stores. Mein Kampf is a bestseller in the Middle East, in the Islamic world,
Mm.
and it's technically speaking. I mean, jihad it means by definition holy war on behalf of Islam, but also it means struggle. And Mein Kampf is my struggle. So there's
Mm.
a connection as well. My jihad. Is it translated? My jihad.
Mm.
So there's that. Again, the Jew hatred will put these people together in ways that are very strange because Hitler was not. He was racist. He didn't give a shit for Arabs. He didn't give a shit for Muslims who were not the Aryans. But again, the Jew hatred overrode all that. It's like, okay, I'll accept these guys as allies because we have that overriding, the connection between us, where they hate Jews as much as I do, and they're willing to kill them as much as I do. So we can go on about that, but I just again, it's even for the Muslims who don't observe the religion as much, they will fall into one thing even average Muslims did. They hated Jews and they treated women like shit. Even if they didn't read the Quran, even if they didn't study, it was, I think someone referred to it as the atmospherics of Islam, where it affected and poisoned one's humanity. And the more you observe it, the worse you are. But even if you observe it very limited way, you're still going to be damaged.
Yeah.
So that's why being raised in that in any capacity, it's I don't know, is a dehumanization process going on.
It is. And
Hopefully
what's
you can get out of it.
Yeah, and how do you process the comedy and I guess all these different complex characters that are going on in the world of religion, and for you to be able to kind of pull out cartoons and storylines and narratives? How
I
do you
think it's
do that?
inherently, to me, it's inherently funny. Islam, take out the jihad, and it's hilarious. It really is. It's like Muhammad. The first people he murdered were critics, a writer and a poet. First thing when he got back to Mecca, after he was in Medina for a while, the first ones he killed, and why? Because he didn't want to be mocked. So he wanted to kill the laughter, right?
Mm.
And that is funny by itself. That the guy is willing to murder people who would laugh at him, and well, sorry, it's not funny. But the point is to be that extreme in a like, oh my God, they're making fun of me. I have to murder them. It's insane, but also comical. It's like,
Yeah, it's
wow,
comical.
that's
Yeah.
hypersensitive to the point of, he became a mass murderer because he was hypersensitive about being mocked. But yeah,
Mm.
there's that mockery factor. It's a killer for people who want to take themselves deadly seriously and who are not serious at all. They're very stupid in their ideas and their beliefs. But they become lethal in the reaction. Basically, they don't want the world to know what they know, that they're mock worthy. I mean, really, that they're
Yeah, yeah,
losers.
yeah.
And therefore they have to kill the laughter. So yeah, I find it again. I mean, pigskin leather, right? After 9/11, I said, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to write and draw a response to 9/11. What do I do? Captain America? No, absolutely not. They won't let me do that. So I thought about my Muslim background. I said, okay, what was the worst thing that they thought about? I said, pigs. They hated pigs. Muslims. If a pig came on TV and at any moment they recoiled like, oh, disgusting. If
Yeah.
a cousin of mine bought the wrong bologna, if it was pork bologna, she got her ass kicked. It
Yeah.
was that extreme reaction. So I said, okay, I'm going to wrap my superhero in pigskin leather,
Mm.
and he's going to hunt them down, and he's going to advertise that loudly to the point where if they come in contact with them, they might lose their shot to get into paradise.
Mm.
And I call it to exploit the Islamic enemy's bigotry. That's what I call it.
Mm.
And within the story, also, they start to kill themselves before he comes. When they know he's coming, they start to slit their own throats. They start to shoot themselves.
Mm.
And there's one moment where there were five of them left. The guy says, "Stop! Stop! 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 It's forbidden. You can't kill yourselves. You know, in Islam, you can't commit the uh, the uh, the suicide. You can't do that."
Mm.
And so he said, "Oh, okay, let's think about something." So they got in a circle. They put a gun to each other's heads, right? So by the time they came, they said, "Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1," and they all shot each other. So they're not technically committing suicide; they're just killing each other. And Pigman finds one of them who's still alive. He goes, "Guys," he goes, "you can't blow your brains out if you don't have any." And then the guy, he says, he goes, I'm an American. I'm an American." He goes, "American." He goes, "You're not American." He goes, "You murder Americans." So he puts his hand over his face, and then you know what he does. And again, I'm not that explicit in my comic. It's not. I mean, it's bloody to some extent, but it's not gory per se. It has to have the violence. I mean, that's the nature of the story I'm writing, right, about war. But I think it's important just to pummel these guys out of existence because again, it's not happening. I would say it's not happening in our world, and here is Israel showing us how it's done, showing
Yeah.
the entire world. You can isolate these guys. You can put the pagers, right, and then, so they're
Mm.
forced to meet in this big compound,
Mm.
and then you blow them all up. I mean, it's ingenious. And they did this within what, 6 weeks? About they did 6 weeks, what we haven't done in 20 years.
Yeah.
Our government. We it took us 10 years to finally get Osama bin Laden. It's ridiculous. These guys, within a year of 10/7, of October 7th, they've done major damage against their direct enemies. Major. And it's to be applauded. I mean, it's a favor to the entire world, really. But of course, the hatred against Israel, it just makes people irrational. They get in bed with jihadists. They feel bad for Nasrallah. It's just terrible. I mean, it really is. But yeah, that inherent humor. These guys are stupid. Jihadists. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing if they weren't stupid. It's like, I want to go kill innocent people in the name of Allah. That's stupid. I mean, that's a dumb way to live your life.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's inherently funny. And they fancy themselves to be deadly serious people, like holy people, right? They
Yeah.
say, "You love life, we love death." And they say that because it sounds cooler than saying, "I hate life." Because that's
Yeah.
what they really do. They hate
Yeah.
life. I
Yeah.
mean, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing if they didn't hate life. And some of these savages also, they have family. It's like, you guys got family and you want to kill innocent people's family, and you want to die
Yeah.
in the process.
Yeah.
So it's just stupid. I mean, they're really stupid. That's the one benefit we have about this particular enemy. You can trick them into doing a lot of things and kill them that way. So
Yeah. I
we
think
have an exploit.
one of the things that I've seen in terms of the hatred grow is all the people that support extremism or they're against Israel or Jews, they are getting more and more angry because how much more stupid Israel is making them look. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely right.
You know,
Absolutely right. No, they're embarrassing.
they're very
Also,
embarrassed.
and their strategies, it's so superior on every level. It makes them look terrible just by them existing within the area and having an oasis where there was just a desert land. Their technology, the Nobel Peace Prizes, the inventions they made, it's incredible, and they embarrass the neighbors by merely existing the way they are. It makes it makes the rest of the Islamic world look bad just by them being who they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also a factor. It's the comparative standard.
Yeah, it's the
It will.
outrage I'm seeing on all, like on media and social media is everybody that and it's going crazy on a lot of private group chats on Telegram.
Oh, okay.
Like people
I
who
imagine.
people who are embarrassed by this, they're very quiet, but they're also like starting to look very stupid.
Right.
You know,
Right. You got this tiny country. It's
Yeah.
taken on a few of these terrorist groups at once.
But what's fascinating is they would engage and laugh about comedy and cartoons and memes about pager
Yeah.
bombs
Yep.
because it's funny and it transcends,
It
and
is.
it's a way that they get involved in some sanity and they can see their own stupidity.
To some extent, yes, because they have to. I mean, because again, they're still human beings. No matter how whacked they've gotten, they're still human beings. They can still appreciate. Holy shit, that's funny. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
holy.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, God damn it, I don't want it to be, but it is. Because humor and laughter is an involuntary reaction to something, right? It's
Yeah.
just it's something that we can't. We find something's funny, like, damn, I found that funny. We're
Mm.
a little surprised sometimes. So it's almost involuntary. Not almost, it is involuntary, and these guys have to appreciate it to some extent because it's like, wow, they're really ripping us. And people were talking about. I mean, if you remember after 10/7, all of the massive propaganda. It's a genocide. It's a Holocaust. It's not. It could have been if Israel was as bad as Hamas. It would have been absolutely, and it would have wiped them all out. It didn't
Mm.
matter. But they're trying to be as strategic as they can. Why? Because they're human beings. They're like, we're not these savages. We're going to try to kill as many as we can without killing the rest. Just try to focus on it, and they've done a pretty damn good job at that.
Mm.
And I think they overdo it sometimes with trying to be careful. I do think so because I think they let some of these scumbags get away at
Mm.
times
Mm.
because they don't want to kill some innocent civilians. But again, if you're cheerleading them, you're part of the enemy. You're part of the enemy if you're cheerleading, if you're supporting them in any capacity, if you're promoting them online, if you're cheerleading them. You have locked yourselves in with them. And not saying you have to necessarily die, but if you do, it's like, okay, well, you shouldn't have been on that side. You were on the side of mass murderers, mass rapists. And they go after children also, which is, it's like the things they do. You heard all these stories and they were being discounted, but they were true. They did mass rape. They did kill children. They did kidnap, babies and I don't know how many Americans did they kidnap, but they kidnapped enough Americans where those America firsters who said that's not our war. It's like they have Americans.
Yeah.
That's not your war. I mean, you should connect yourselves with that naturally. So there was even that aspect. But again, it's always the Jew hatred which keeps them from connecting with the Americans who were killed by these people. It just overrides it. And it is growing. It's a more of an open expression of Jew hatred now than there was even last year in the West. It's something that's really troubling because again that kind of stuff it leads to holocausts. I mean, it leads to if a culture starts getting very comfortable with seeing a certain group as evil, inherently evil, terrible things happen. So
Yeah, and
hopefully we
it's
can
it.
put a cap on
Yeah, it's interesting, like how the resemblance of hatred from these extreme jihadists and terrorists is similar to what Osama did with Americans, how he created this American hatred, which is, how we ended up with 9/11 and the aftermath of that in the world. It's kind of similar now. It's all about the Jew hatred.
it. Yeah,
It's
it
it's
is.
like a similar template. It's like here's a blueprint on how you hate
Sure.
using jihad.
Yep.
It's like a
No, but
university program now.
it's unifying a lot of disparate people. Like it's like okay, leftists, Muslims, some on the right. It's like some libertarians. Like it's very strange. Tucker Carlson, he's being a little. He's the most subtle about it, but there's something there because he constantly has guests who hate Israel, from generals to critics. Constantly has them on. A guy who was diminishing the role that Hitler played in World War II. Trying to say, well, Churchill was the real threat. He was the real villain. Hitler, accidentally did the Holocaust type thing. He was trying to say it was an accidental thing, the Holocaust. It wasn't it wasn't his focus. And again, yeah, he wanted to take over the world, but he also wanted to do that. So there's a lot of people. Candace Owens, after 10/7, she all of a sudden is a hardcore Jew hater who supports basically jihad against Israel, who has Jew haters on her show casually, and she's lost, I think, a lot of respect from a lot of people. I mean, for me, I drew her with it was like that circle with a red line across. It's
Oh
like
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, to ban things. So I put the Jewish star with a circle under her nose, like a Hitler mustache,
yeah,
and I sent it out there, and I get a lot of, I mean, love and hate. I never get middle of the road. I really don't. It's love or hate for my work, which is good because it's very it's considered extreme. To me, it's not though. It's just this is what I do. So yeah, there are a lot of people out there, leftists, rightists. This guy Nick Fuentes, right? He's allegedly a right winger, even though now he's calling Trump a threat to the world, a threat. And he's also on the side of Hezbollah. He also mourned the death of the Nasrallah. So it's a very strange. Leftists, rightists. Richard Spencer, if you remember him, the media tried to make him a famous white supremacist years ago, at least in America.
yeah,
And they tried. They couldn't. But they were like, damn, we got one guy who's explicit about this. What does he end up doing? He ends up voting for Biden. All of a sudden, he gets off the board. They're like, oh, shit. We can't
yeah,
have this guy anymore.
yeah,
He's one of us now. So they always end up leaning left. Why? Think about Hitler, right? Nazi is only a nickname. It's only a term. It's only a term of derision. It was National Socialism. National Socialism. And I always hit that home. And the left never calls them National Socialists because they're like, shit, we're socialists. We have to keep that off off the grid. So let's just call him Nazi over and over again. He was National Socialist. And the only difference to me between the National Socialists and the Soviets at the time is that, yeah, but he hated communists. Yeah, because they were in the way of his vie for power. You know what I mean? And it's like the Sunni and Shiites, right? They're brothers, but they will kill each other because wait, we're the real believers. We're the true
yeah,
believers.
yeah,
So that's how I see the communists and the Nazis in World War II. They were allies, right? And then they went to war. So because they want the same thing, ultimately. They want to have control. And again, you cannot be a Nazi or without being a collectivist, without being a socialist, because racism is locked into collectivism. Without, if you respect the individual, if you support individual rights, you cannot really be a racist. I mean, you can't. If individual rights is your thing, you see individuals as the most important elements in society.
yeah.
If you see groups, then you can, end up killing entire, millions of people like Hitler did. So yeah, I always try to hit that home again and again and again. I got this poster. It's called Communazis. It's half Stalin and half Hitler, and they look really similar, except for the long mustache and the short mustache, the hair. And then I mentioned in there that all these things, fascism, socialism, communism, Nazism, National Socialism, it's all the same shit, because ultimately it's about collectivism. They're all collectivists, and they all want to rule people. They all want to rule people. To be right wing, far right means for freedom. It means for individual rights. It means for liberty. Far left, whether it is the secular or the religious, is collectivism, is tyranny.
Yeah.
That's what the far left is. It is all about collectivism, all about groups, all about the diminishment of the individual, of individual rights. They don't acknowledge individual rights, whether it's Stalin or Hitler or Muhammad. There's no individual rights. There's only group rights. Our group, and to hell with the rest, and go after them. So that's a whole different conversation. But I hit that home again and again and again, and then nothing enrages leftists more than when I remind the world that he was a National Socialist, and I always put it in big caps, socialist. He was a socialist. They said, yeah, but he was right-wing socialist. It's like, what? He was a what? A right-wing socialist? No, there's no such thing. Socialism is leftism. So yeah, I can go on about that, but
No, it's fascinating because you sort of wonder this. All these guys you've mentioned, Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, and you sometimes wonder what's going on. Why do you have all these conflicted views coming from a person that is not consistent? And you almost wonder whether it's the consequence of this complex social media algorithm that drives people into these different echo chambers, and they see these, they fall into these all different traps.
they do. They do. And you're right.
Yeah,
And
sorry,
maybe
go
they
ahead.
want to take advantage. Sorry, maybe they want to take advantage of that. Maybe
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay, maybe
Yeah.
this is my group, because again, Muslims were celebrating Candace Owens as soon as she condemned Israel for after 10/7. It's like, wait a minute, that's when you waited to come out as a Jew hater? That's great timing.
Yeah.
That when Israel is in its time of need, it needs support. It had over 1,000 of its people just slaughtered in horrific ways, right? And you're gonna now side with their enemies? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But it's something in her that just tapped out.
Yeah, but I also think what's going on is this X has created this environment where people are really trying to break out of these collective realities into individual based thought. So they're trying to push boundaries to see what they can say, what they can't say, what they can be
Yeah.
part of, what they can be part of. Like you mentioned the guy Daryl Cooper, the revisionist that came on Tucker Carlson,
Yes.
and he talked about how he was essentially being a Hitler apologist.
Yes.
So my first thought of that is it's okay for him to say that. He doesn't have to be right or wrong, but he has
course.
he has the ability to express
No, no, no.
himself, right?
100%. 100%. And they
yeah.
all do.
Yeah.
Nick Fuentes, absolute. I
Yeah.
will never call for him to. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I can't stand the people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I want to hear these voices. No, but I want to hear these voices,
Yeah.
and I want to counter them.
Yes.
Because look, we always have to have more speech, not less speech, whether
Yes.
it's evil speech, whatever.
That's
Always,
right.
always,
Yeah.
always. That's
Yeah.
the principle. And we want to challenge these people. We want to mock them.
Yeah.
I mean, I mock them. I have Nick Fuentes. I said, Nick, why do you have a long mustache? Shorten it up a little. So I made a little hip mustache. It's like, that's a little too long for you. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But those type of things, it's important that, I want them all on. I never call for, the only ones that I will report are the ones who explicitly threaten my life, you know. And if they know something personal about me, because sometimes they do. They send pictures of people that they know that I'm close with.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And that's when I report, and then they do what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remove them from the platform. And then I got a knock on my door not that long ago. Bang, bang, bam. I was like, what the hell is that? I look up and it's two guys. I'm like, what's going on here? The FBI. I said, okay. And they start talking. I said, come inside. I don't want, just come inside and we'll talk.
Yeah.
And it was for one death threat. I said, guys, I've had thousands of death threats, literally thousands for 19 years.
Yeah.
You came here for one death threat? And it was a little silly, but they said, it was. I said, honestly, I'll call you because I was in touch with the FBI after 2015 when I was almost murdered by the jihadists, right? And I had to be in touch with them because the death threats were coming out of control. And that's when I had to be in control, in touch with them. Outside of that, I don't bother them unless it's something personal, unless it's a real wave, real hard chatter. Outside of that, I don't bother them. So I thought that was strange. And also the way they came on, bam, banging on the door like it's something, like they want to break my door down.
Yeah, that's FBI.
And again, I don't trust the FBI. I don't. There was an individual I was lucky to connect with who was hated by the group CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations. They're a stealth jihad group, is what they are. They came from Hamas, and now they're in America to try to make criticism of Islam illegal. That's their goal. They will lie about it. They call themselves a civil rights group. Their goal is to try to make criticism of Islam illegal. That's it. That's their goal. Yeah. So they hated one FBI agent. I was like, okay, so I think you're a good guy to to be in touch with, because if they hate you, they probably. So
I think one of the things. Sorry, go ahead.
No. You go on. Sorry, the free speech issue. We just have to have these characters and these people that we despise and we condemn morally and all that, but they have to have the right to say what they say, and then we have the right to say it right back.
Yeah.
I never call for people to, unless you cross the line and start talking about cutting my throat off, cut my head off. Okay, then we can go back and forth. Outside of that, there's nothing. Once you cross that line, that's not free speech to me. When you say I want to murder your family, that's not free speech.
Sure.
That crosses the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things I loved about Joe Rogan's Burn the Boats Netflix special, he had this beautiful thing that he said, which is essentially what you're saying is we need to be able to mock you so we know how fucking crazy you are.
Absolutely
right?
True.
But if we can't mock you, then the world doesn't know how crazy you are, So the criticism and mocking of these jihadists and all this hate and all this crazy stuff. Even if there are soft issues like trans people, or or there could be everybody and anybody, right? If we can't mock a group of people, then
Yeah.
the world can't see through comedy how fucking crazy they are.
And the truth of it all, right? To expose it. There's something to that. I mean, us having that event in Texas, when about the Drum Muhammad contest, right? And me being invited there to be announced. It was, we knew the consequences. We knew that they could come and kill us. We knew that. And part of me was thinking, I was asked by the media right before I went into the building. It said, you entered? I said, yeah, I entered the contest. I said, aren't you afraid? I said, to be honest right now, I said, I don't think so, because they usually go after soft targets. I said, we are decked out here. There's a lot of security here. And I thought they were, but again, they're stupid. They went to Texas from Arizona, Texas of all places, to try to kill people, knowing that we're going to have some kind of security there. And we were stacked with security. I mean, I mean, undercovers. I guess, I don't know. They were security guards. There was a SWAT team there. There were cops outside the building. So we were really ready for anything. But again, they're stupid. That's the thing. But yeah, we had to, as you said about Joe Rogan, right? You mock them, right? And then you find out, what the response is going to be. Can they mock you back? Muslims don't tend to do that. I've gotten so many death threats that some of them are interesting at times because they're a little funny, maybe accidentally.
Yeah.
Sometimes they send me these legal letters and send me, look, we're going to pay you anything you want for you to stop, but if you don't, some limbs are going to be removed. And it's like, these
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
they might actually have done that. It was maybe an actual offer. And but it's funny. I wrote them back. I said, meet me in Israel at this one pork store. I'll have, I'll bring some Muhammad cartoons there. You can burn them and just give me, the money in person and all that. And sometimes I respond to them, but sometimes I don't, because again, they're crazy to the point where if you start threatening to rape and murder somebody, I mean, I don't know. They're probably going to act on it. Let's just say, to that extreme. The old ones, sometimes they pretend that they're fine with pigs. Like, I don't care about pigs. I don't care about a PIGMAN comic. I love it. I don't care. They do. I mean, I know growing up, we were even moderate Muslims. The hatred for pigs was extreme. I mean,
Yeah.
again, beating up your daughter if she buys the wrong bologna, that's extreme.
Yeah.
It really is.
Death threats
So
can be really funny. I was watching Kill
oh yeah,
Tony with the Jordan Peterson special,
yeah.
and this girl comes
Was he on
on.
there? Wait, Jordan Peters was on Kill Tony?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he
I didn't know
was.
that.
Yeah, it was funny.
Huh.
And this girl comes on stage and she starts to praise slavery. She's being comic about slavery, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously she goes viral and she gets a lot of death threats, right?
Huh.
And she
Even
comes
though
back.
it was a comedy show, she did it just for effect. Yeah.
Yeah. So she comes
Yeah.
back on the show, and then Tony goes, "So how did this whole thing play out? I heard you got death threats." And she goes, "Yeah, a lot of bad spelled, poorly spelled death threats." Right?
True.
So she was
True.
basically making fun of black people, giving her death threats on her
True.
DMs and Instagram. And Jordan Peterson just couldn't stop laughing. And that's funny, right? That's a funny
Funny.
death threat, right?
Absolutely true. I mean, look, the death threats I get also. I kill you. I could kill you. They can't even spell kill sometimes, and I sometimes, because what I do is I collected them in a series called Peaceful Death Threats, and I roast them on their death threats,
Right.
literally, with like red ink, and sometimes these guys, what did they say? I said, yeah, I said, I said the reason why you're like this, I said you're a prophet. The Quran is illiterature. It's illiterature because he's illiterate, and they, even the ones who I think are in the West, I gotta say, someone has broken English also. One's from England, one's from America. Even some
Yeah.
Muslims who tell me that actually,
Yeah.
and it's still broken English. It's like, damn, guys. I mean, even if you're here, at least to step it up and give me some clear death threats. Sometimes I applaud them if they're, I will kill you. I'm like, whoa, nice. You know what I mean? It was actually clear. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like,
It's surprising.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
But yeah, so I got a lot of broken English death threats also, and it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, yeah. So how many cartoons have you done of Prophet Muhammad in your career
Over,
as a cartoonist?
over 600. And I
Wow.
know that because of the amount I have in each of the books that I have. For 19 years, I've been doing it. 2005, I began the Danish Muhammad cartoonists who were asked by, what's his name? What's his name? It was for the, anyway, it was a newspaper. They were trying to prove that, it's okay to draw Muhammad. Let's find out, right? Let's just test the water, as you said about Joe Rogan, to test the water. And they did. And it spiked up to the point where I think they had rallies, Muslims had rallies where they killed each other, just trampling over them. Because that's how much they got. And they were threatened, with murder. And that's when I said, wait a minute, I was raised Muslim. I said, I never knew there was a prohibition against drawing Muhammad. So I'm going to draw Muhammad now. This is, years after I left Islam. But at the same time, people say, well, is it a prohibition? I said, technically speaking, but the Shiite Muslims have been drawing Muhammad for centuries, paintings across history. So it's not an ironclad prohibition. It is, I think Sunnis believe that, Shiites don't. But I think after 9/11, it was their idea that they want to muscle in on us a little more. They want to make sure, okay, you know what, we did 9/11 to you, and now we're going to tell you you can't draw this, and you're going to listen to us. I think it was them just flexing their muscles. That's what I think. I don't think it's a pure prohibition at all. But because again, even if you draw him, they say basically you can't draw him, right? So even if you draw him as a heroic figure on top of a horse with an incredible painting, it doesn't matter, right? If you
Yeah.
draw him as a dot on a piece of paper, that's Muhammad. It doesn't matter. It's the fact of you drawing him, you diminishing his stature, I guess, to some extent, by having him especially as a cartoon. So after that, I drew him every time there was an attack. I drew him when Charlie Hebdo in 2012, when they had their offices firebombed in France, and then of course after Charlie Hebdo massacre. It was 2 months later where Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer had the Draw Muhammad contest
Yeah.
that's in Texas, and I entered it, and I won the People's Choice Award. It was Breitbart. They had the story on there, and I was to get $2,500 for winning the People's Choice Award, and then if I would get the main award, I would only get the 10,000. But what happened is I ended up winning both, and I ended up getting $12,500, which was great. I did my speech there, and I said, "Why do you think we have this kind of, of the security? Why? Because Islam does not mean peace. That's why." And I gave a 20-minute speech, maybe less than that, and I just talked about my Muslim background, and then within 15 minutes, I believe, we heard about there were gunshots outside the door. And I remember I had a flight back, and I said, I got to get back. And my friend was like, hey, this is a terrorist threat. I said, a terrorist attack. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. When you're in it, it's a little surreal. You're not exactly, you anticipate this to some extent, but wow, there's an actual jihadists out there. They had an ISIS flag with them as well. They were linked with ISIS. It was the first official attack on America from ISIS at that time. And then we went in the back room, and we couldn't communicate with our loved ones. The phones were dead, whatever reason, the service was bad. So loved ones were trying to get through, couldn't get through. Finally got through, was in touch with them. And then I remember this one of the security guards goes, you're the winner? He goes, yeah. So they flanked me just there. I had a little extra protection, which was cool, but same time, it's like, there are a lot of people there. So we're talking to them, and then we're talking, and we know this one guy from the Bronx, New York, this one Albany guy. We're like, hey, I know him, you know him, pretty funny. And then he says he just caught word. He had his earpiece. Just caught word. He goes, 2 guys got their heads blown off outside the building, 2 jihadists. And I had this fist pump. I was like, yes. Because I said, the only ones who died that day were ones who came to kill us. And I actually tweeted that at the time. I said, justice. It ended up being the headline on some newspapers, which was pretty cool. And then I was invited on every single news network, from Good Morning America to CNN to CNBC to MSNBC, ABC, all these, right? And Fox agreed to show my cartoon, and then they didn't at the last second, and I was a little pissed off. So every time I respond to all these interests, I said, okay, if you show my cartoon, I'll come on. Oh, no, we can't do that. I said, why? I said, you have me on for the cartoon, right? the least you could do is show the cartoon.
Yeah.
And also show them that it's not an obscene thing. It's just Muhammad telling me you can't draw me, and me saying, that's why I draw you.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Simple act of defiance. And they wouldn't do it. None of them would. And so then Fox News, a little while later, did have me on, and they did show it repeatedly with John Stossel, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I've been drawing for a long time, many, many years. And many times, again, I have these books full of them. I have 6 books full of Muhammad cartoons. And I keep doing it. Every time there's an attack, every time there's something going on, every time I get threats, I'm like, okay, there's another motivation to draw them. And I've drawn them in so many different ways. I mean, forget about it. As a trans, as gay, as a woman, as a cartoons, as a Peanuts characters, like Charlie Brown style, as so many different types of things. And again, I don't necessarily draw them in obscene ways. I don't care for that, personally speaking. That's not my way of drawing. But people ask me to do that. I say, well, I don't really do that. You fucking pussy. I'm like, what? I said, I've drawn Muhammad for years now. I'm not a pussy about it. I just don't want to draw a pig banging him. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
And then they call me a pussy for it, which is funny. So I turn down people who want me to draw these things. But again, I'll draw him, I drew him as a pig. If that's obscene, I guess it is, right? But
Yeah.
so to me, it's an issue of free speech. I have this. I wrote this article called the Draw Muhammad Challenge. You know how all these stupid challenges, Ice Bucket Challenge, all these things. So I said, okay, let me do a real challenge, a Draw Muhammad Challenge. So I sent it out to my fellow artists. The only ones who took it up were 6 people who were not artists. My fellow artists didn't bite. So there's 6 people who can't draw, who drew Muhammad, and I respect that. I told them, I said, I'm going to publish it in my next book. I won't put your name, don't worry. But I do want to show that it's not how you draw him, it's that you draw him. That's the issue. That's the point. It's about free speech. And if that's going to be the red line of free speech, I'm going to draw it over and over and over again, because there shouldn't be a red line in free speech. There shouldn't. So that's it's become the flashpoint of free speech. Draw Muhammad, because people say I support free speech, but man, that's not free speech. I said, what's not free speech? Drawing a prophet of a religion? Why not? Because it shows disrespect. I said, disrespect. I said, once people were murdered for this, that argument's out the window. Human beings were murdered over this.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue of respect at this point. It's an issue of defiance, pure defiance at this point. Respect. So I can go on about that, but yeah, I keep drawing him, and it's just something that he's become a character in a lot of ways. It's like he's become my character. I even drew him the old day. I put copyright Bosch Fawstin for Muhammad as a little joke. It's because he's become. And then also, one of the funniest things that Muslims tell me is they said, ha 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 ha. They pretend to laugh, right?
Yeah.
They put more emojis than anyone, and they're seething behind the camera. But they say, you don't even know how he looks, so you never drew him. I said, so why are you pissed? So why are you even telling me this? If I didn't draw him, fine. So I didn't draw him. Don't get pissed about it. But they said, but you don't know how. I said, no one knows. I said, it doesn't matter. It's the point about drawing him. That's the point. It's not about how he looked. I don't know. I think he dyed his hair red. His beard red at times. He liked the color green. I know that. That was his favorite color. He wore perfumes and all that.
Interesting.
But I always give him a Hitler mustache, because he has a full beard, but I always give him a Hitler mustache, always, to connect the two evil ideologies. That's what I do. And I've been doing that for, again, 19 years.
Yeah,
People
I
say,
do the Hitler mustache a lot with my satire news.
yeah,
I did that for the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, when she went crazy with COVID lockdowns, So bringing the Hitler mustache on any public figure just allows people to connect the two evil, and they go, hold on a second, is she evil? Yeah, sorry, carry on.
absolutely.
Carry on.
No, sorry, no, you're right. It's an iconic thing. It's a shorthand to say evil, right?
Yeah.
And it's good, and it's very effective. Joy, right? Joy, the Kamala Harris campaign, Joy, right? That's our new campaign.
Yeah.
So I put a cartoon of her all in red, like a commie, and looking intensely with joy under her lip, like a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
It was spelled joy. And again, it's a shorthand for that. And also to hit home the idea that we're the left, the socialists will call you Nazi. It's like, that's your guy. He was a socialist. He was a collector. He wanted the health care, and he wanted the gun control. He wanted all these things that you want. He hated Jews like you guys hate Jews. He was on the side of Muslims like you guys are on the side of Muslims. So I really enjoy, I gotta say, reminding them that there's a connection there, that Hitler would have been on the side of Hamas, as the left are on the side of Hamas. You know what I mean? Hitler, they celebrate, the critical Palestinians celebrate Hitler. They celebrate him. They love him. They have their stores named Hitler.
Yeah.
There's a deep connection there. It's for a long time. I mean, Arafat's uncle, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, was there sitting with Hitler, sitting with the Nazis, trying to expedite the Holocaust. So it's a real history there that a lot of people don't want to know and don't want to talk about, but it's there. And I love reminding people of this. I just do. He was a leftist. He was a socialist. Nothing right-wing about him. He was anti-capitalist. He was anti-capitalist. He was not a capitalist. He was not a Christian. He thought Christians were pussies. He thought it was a flabby religion. So I do enjoy that, I gotta say. So yeah, always draw Muhammad with a Hitler mustache. My main character, Super Jihad, is the villain in my Pigman comic. He has a Hitler mustache as well. And they go at it because it's a surprise meeting. There, Frank Warner, whose Pigman was writing against Islam and Jihad for years, and his friend Muhammad was writing along with him. They were both ex-Muslims, both apostates, until 9/11 hits. And when the second plane hits, Muhammad, his friend, finds himself on the ground in New York City. Allahu Akbar. In his mind, he saw this powerful thing happen, right? So he's going to actually do something about it. So he reverts back to being a born-again Muslim. And that's when the battle happens. So yeah, so he's on a TV program, Pigman, in his secret identity. And then he gets ambushed by having his old friend, who's now his, villain. And he comes on there and he says something about, he tries to, I think, Super Jihad, in his secret identity, Dr. Muhammad they call him, tries to mock Frank Pigman as being like a Nazi. He goes, you got a Hitler mustache. You're calling me a Nazi? You literally have a Hitler mustache. He goes, no. It's I think he said it was what was the guy? Muslim Brotherhood. It was a Muslim Brotherhood. He had a Hitler mustache. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
But not Hassan al-Banna, the other guy who visited America. I forgot his name. Kutuf.
Yeah, I don't know his name now.
Yeah, but he had a Hitler mustache. And I don't know if it was because of Hitler or Hitler did it because of him. I think he did it because of Hitler. I really do. So there's that little commentary in there in my comic as well, where he gets in debates. Because my comic book, it's after 9/11, I said, okay, I'm going to respond to these guys. I want to pummel these guys out of existence, at least in a comic book. If I can't see it in real life, at least I want to see them pay a price for it in my comic book. But it wasn't enough for me. I was like, superhero comics, I love them, but I want a little more meat in there. So I said, okay, how about if I take myself in the story, as if I split myself in two, right? I'm a born-again Muslim, I'm a recovered Muslim, and have them in the story. And then one of them creates the Pigman comic book, and the other brother goes after him. So that's the story. So then it's a story within a story. So the Pigman parts are only like the fictional part of the actual story. And it's fun. It's really fun because they get into debates, they get into arguments, they get into battles, physical battles. And there's one, it's a panel at a comic book convention, and it's a Muslim there with his post 9/11 comic called America, with the crescent, as in America should be a Muslim country. Another Catholic guy who says, had a comic book called, what's it called? The Ecumen, like ecumenical, where all religions get together and they all have values that they inherently have, right? So it's called the Ecumen, with a Muslim, a Christian, and a Jew, and they're wrapped with arms together. It's like a real, cheesy type of thing, like a positive thing. Another guy has a forbidden love affair between a jihadist in Palestine and an Israeli IDF, like a soldier. And the comic is about their forbidden love affair, like Brokeback Mountain style. So it's all these different types of comics, and then there's my character with Pigman in there. And they start going at it. And the Muslim tells them about, well, that's a different kind of Islam. It's, all countries have their own form of Islam. I said, what's Israeli Islam like, So I have the character ask the Muslim that, and he doesn't want to say anything because it's like, he doesn't want me to think that there's a possibility that there's a quote-unquote Israeli Islam. Now, there aren't any. There's Islam, that's it. You can call it Americanized to some extent, but there is no, like American Islam. There isn't. I mean, it's Islam if you're devout or you're not. That's really what it is. If you're lax, I don't really see you as a Muslim. I have many Muslim, cousins who aren't very Muslim. You know, they're just not.
Yeah.
And they will tolerate me to some extent. I don't see them, but they'll respond to my stuff sometimes. You know, they'll if I'm out there, if I'm on television or doing something, whatever, they'll respond to it. But I'm not worried about them. In other words,
Yeah.
they're not true believers. They're not going to do anything to me.
Yeah.
So I can go on and on, but hey, I mean, what do we got, man? You know, let's talk about you and what you do. You know.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating because, I'm curious to learn more about like the reactions, the impact of your work, right?
Yeah.
So much of it is protecting your right to be able to walk and draw
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad, which in itself is a crazy idea that people would not want you to do that, right?
Yeah.
You have the Danish cartoonist who drew Prophet Muhammad, and he had a lot of death threats. A lot of Muslim countries asked the Danish prime minister to apologize,
Yeah.
and they stopped trade deals, and it was it was insane. It's like, what?
It was
And
boycotts across the world. Boycotts,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, and they said no, we won't apologize because it's free expression. He can express himself. And then you had the shootings in France at the magazine that drew, a lot of Muslim cartoons, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
a lot of people died.
Yes, yeah.
And you talked about your death threats you got in Texas at your event,
Yeah.
and if you compare that with the serious threat, it's just crazy, that idea itself. But at the same time, there is a huge positive impact to society from
Yeah.
the work that you have done so far, right? To me,
Yeah.
that's a fascinating thing that I just want to explore a bit more of, the positive impacts of your ability to market religion, market profit.
To me, it's necessary. It's like, again, especially an enemy at war with you who tells you you can't draw our guy. Imagine World War II. Nazis telling us, hey, you can't draw Hitler. They're inviting freedom-loving people to draw Hitler.
Yeah.
Over and over again. Unfortunately, today, very, very few people draw Muhammad. And I think I'm trying to overcompensate. I mean, a part of me is like, I'm trying to,
Yeah.
it's like, I'll be a one-man army. I'm like, okay, my peers won't draw him. All right, let me overdo it. I've drawn him over 600 times. That's more than I ever intended to. I never even intended to draw him, by the way, until the Danish Muhammad cartoons were around. I was like, what the hell? No, that's unacceptable. And then my personal life. My life prior to winning the contest and now is a different life. Let me just say that. I can't get into details, but it takes a toll. It takes a toll. And even those who love you, even those who understand you, can't quite go there with you. They can't quite, they
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, I find that with my family, right? Like, I'm the one that's kind of really embraced the Western, I guess, view of the world, and my ability to discuss and express a lot of ideas and thoughts that naturally come to me, right?
Yeah.
But I understand that they're not, they would never come that far.
No.
Not intentionally, but it's just different abilities that people have and different lived experiences. And I certainly don't feel like I'm lonely because no one's on my journey.
No,
I'm
me
just
neither.
experiencing my own self,
Sure.
and then my energy invites the likes of yourself.
Yeah.
Where we connected through a friend, and he was
Yeah.
like, you guys need to connect. And so I think that's kind of like it's an interesting way to be, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits also. You come in contact, it's like this. People say, well, you've limited yourself in your work that you'll get. I said, sure, but I also will get the kind of work that no one else will get.
Yeah.
When I got a guy who wants to do a Danish adaptation of the Quran, who's the guy to do that? I'll happily do that.
Yeah.
I will, hell yeah. And no one else will do that. And I remember I found out he was looking for years. And when at first I found out about it, I said, hey, I'll do it. He goes, I've been looking for years. I said, well, we just didn't come across.
Yeah.
So I drew it. It was 12 different drawings from the Quran. I got Muhammad with Aisha with it in a harem. I have Muhammad outside the Kaaba, the old Kaaba, where people are laughing at him behind his back, literally while he's there. He's trying to connect with these people.
Yeah.
They're mocking him in the
Mm.
cartoon.
Mm.
Again, so I will get opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise. There's also that. People will ask me to draw things that they know no one else will draw. There's a factor as well. So
Mm.
yeah, in one sense, I've blacklisted myself, but I'm also doing these things that are pretty interesting to me. I mean, I got this book called Islam Bitches about the Islamophiles across history for the last few hundred years who praise Islam as if they're Muslims, and I have Muhammad as a pimp on each page introducing each of these Islamophiles, right? He has a pimp cane, he has a high platform shoes, like 1970s, big collars, bell bottoms. And he's naming all of these guys. And he's conscious of the fact that I'm drawing him and making him do this. And he resents me for it, which is pretty funny within the actual, book. But yeah, so things like that, it's interesting to me. It's like having non-Muslim Westerners praising Islam in such a way that I have Muhammad on the back cover saying, "Hey, Islam bitches, why aren't you Muslim?" You know what I mean? You keep praising it. Why aren't you Muslim? And that's a question I always ask these people who praise Islam. It's like, okay, you say Islam is beautiful, it's great, it's everything. Why aren't you Muslim? Why not? I mean, you're going to praise it more than Muslims. I mean, more than Muslims praise it even. I mean, there are some infidels who say, "Oh, Islam, the beauty of Islam, the power of Islam." It's like, what the hell is this, man? It's a strange thing. So I take that and I turn it into a book. I take the death threats I get, turn them into books. I've monetized my would-be murderers, and it's fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
And it's my best-selling book,
it's
the Peaceful
brilliant.
Death Threats, 2 volumes. Geert Wilders, the politician in the Netherlands, gave 150 of those books to his colleagues in Parliament. And who knows what to do with it, but the fact is they have it in their hands to prove, like, hey, man, there's a real problem here. And this is a culture. It's not just the jihadists who want to kill you. It's those average Muslims, the engineers, the pop stars, with a pop star in Pakistan threatening us as well. And all of these people, and I respond to them in the book, and all these people. And then I have Muhammad as a ballet dancer and stuff. And then at the end, I said, look, guys, in the end, I said, this is about a culture. It's not about the jihad per se. It's about this culture that wants to see those who mock them as dead. They want to see them dead.
Mm.
That's unacceptable. We have to mock them to the point of they get their skin hardened, meaning we have to persist in it. And therefore, it makes the world a better place because it makes them tougher.
Yeah.
They got to learn how to take it. And if my cartoon is going to lead them to that, good. They haven't quite, gotten some thick skin yet, Muslims. But we'll see. Maybe there's a possibility. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are groups of Muslims that wouldn't be offended by your work, and there would be Muslim.
I'd love to hear from them.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear.
yeah. I mean, it's I grew up in the Emirates. I was raised as a liberal Muslim, and I was never interested in it. So I would never be interested to go to pray or read the Quran. I never read the Quran my entire life.
We went to mosque in the Bronx. I mean, in Brooklyn, by the way, we did.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about it after. I'll tell you about it right after.
Yeah, and I never grew up in an environment where there was mockery of Islam because there was no extremism, I believe. That's why there was no mockery. But it was not shoved down our throat as well, Islam.
Right.
I spent most of my time, my childhood, doing sports or music or urban culture or science or
Did you identify
technology.
yourself as a Muslim per se? Did you say, I'm Muslim? Did you not eat pork? Did you do certain things?
Yes, oh yes, I was.
Were you taught that the Jews were evil? I mean, to that extent, were you?
No, there was in the Emirates. There is no Jew hatred. There
It's
was.
interesting to me.
It was
It really
absolutely
is.
no radical. Emirates is like very strict in terms of radical. I mean, they just imprisoned 27, 30 people for life for being associated with Muslim Brotherhood. There is zero tolerance, and Emirates has a very positive view of Israel. So Emirates is
Interesting.
one of the countries that has a very positive relationship with Israel.
But then you have also some rich people in the UAE who will actually fund terrorism as well. So but those are individuals. I mean, the government itself is what you're saying. The government itself is not necessarily in link with this.
Yeah,
They hate the quote unquote
I
extremists,
am not
even though
aware.
they're.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any individuals in the UAE would fund terrorism unless you are. I know Qatar's
I do
involved with.
know.
Sorry.
I do know of some. I mean, I do in my studies. I do know of
Okay.
individuals who have. Yeah,
Interesting.
uh, the
Yeah.
government maybe not. Maybe they don't fund jihad. The government themselves, like Iran, they fund jihad. The government funds
Yeah.
jihad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Saudis now the Saudi government doesn't technically fund jihad. It's the rich, oil rich,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sheiks, whatever sheiks.
Yeah. The Bin Ladens.
But individuals do, at least from what I gather, across the Islamic world, the rich ones, they do, however quietly they do.
Yeah.
But the governments themselves, some do, some don't.
It's interesting. I
Yeah,
think my perception of the UAE was in terms of the leaders or the culture, was that it was we were taught to be tolerant and coexist, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, as much as it was multicultural, I never had any friends that were Jews. I never interacted with.
right.
It was a very simple, basic sort of life, and for me, I was more interested in technology and what Steve Jobs was doing,
Right.
and
Yeah,
robots,
your
and
interests.
it's
How about movies and comics and magazines? Were you into all that stuff? I
I,
mean,
I
video games.
I was not, to be honest. I remember, I always tell the story is when we used to have English classes, and my teacher would take us out of the classroom, take us to the library, and force us to watch Gladiator. It's like, if you want to
Oh wow,
if you want to watch if you want to learn the English language, you watch the Gladiator, right?
sure. Movies.
Yeah, yeah. And I had
And
zero
that,
interest. I was like, nah, I just want to go read about Apple and computers and things like that. I think later on in life, I appreciated more in terms of
yeah,
the comedy, the movies, and all
right.
that stuff that comes with it. And yeah, it's a good place to be in terms of, like, I love all types of people. I tolerate all types of people, but I also believe there crazy people exist. We need to have
Absolutely.
standards.
All over.
I'm all
Yeah.
about, for example, trans people, but we can't have men taking shit in women's toilet. We gotta have
Oh man,
standards.
look.
We gotta find ways to accommodate them. That's cool, but we also gotta believe that the crazy people that are gonna use that medium to get in places that they're not meant to be there. I'm all
Right.
about immigration. Don't get me wrong, but we can't have murders coming through without being vetted.
Oh,
I'm an immigrant. I moved to New Zealand, but I came through as an investor legally. I
yeah.
invested, brought value, and that's cool. I think most people
All these
are.
things have been corrupted, though. All these things have been corrupted, from
Yeah,
immigration to
yeah,
all these things.
yeah,
To look, we can accept a trans person. That you say, okay, I'm not necessarily going to call them, what they want to call. I'm not going to have them impose on me what I can call them or not. I'm not going to do that either. I don't. I'm sure as I'm not going to celebrate them, but I'm not going to condemn them as in, you're
yeah,
just a worthless piece of shit. No, I don't care. But don't impose and don't use the government to try to
yeah,
force us to do
yeah,
certain things.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
yeah. And I think,
And it turns regular people against that, against
yeah,
them.
yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, Joe Rogan had a really good joke about it in his comedy special, Burn the Boats. He said, I don't hate the gay people, but I don't want to have any gay friends.
He
And
said, "I don't want to have any gay
yeah,
friends."
I think something like
That's
that.
fine.
And I was like, yeah, that's, it's okay to say that, right?
Of
You know,
course it is.
he's,
I
he's
mean,
like,
that's the thing,
yeah, he's like, I don't want
and
to
it's a
get
comedy
fucked.
thing. But then again, but then he actually has a video on his show where he goes, "I want to feel like what it feels like to be a woman. I want to have something. I want to have a, and it's like, what the hell?" So the
Yeah,
guy's all over. And by the way,
yeah,
check out this one video if you can. It was Elephant Graveyard. I don't know if you know about that one channel on YouTube. Elephant Graveyard.
yeah.
He roasted Joe Rogan's show. I mean, just check it out if
Okay.
you want.
Yeah, I'll do
I mean, you
that.
might, whether you like him or not, it's really brilliantly done and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
And he mentions, I think he connects these things where, yeah, he might say that, but then it's like, wait, he said the complete opposite on this day. I
yeah,
think he's
yeah,
all over
yeah,
the place, Joe. I really do. Politically, he'll go from
yeah,
Bernie Sanders to RFK
yeah,
to maybe Trump,
yeah.
and then to praising Kamala to saying she's stupid. It's like, which one is it, Joe? So I think the guy's
Yeah.
all over.
The podcast
But
world
yeah,
is, if you're a podcaster, my personal experience, I relate with Joe a lot because I find myself in similar traps. Because you're constantly just talking. It's your full time gig, right? You're doing out thousands and thousands and hours of conversation,
all varied guests, all
and
varied
you
guests,
know,
different type of
and
guests. Yeah,
and just like Joe, I like to have my platform open to all sorts of different people. I might have in the future someone, that totally hates your work, but it does not
yeah,
mean that I support him.
true.
It's a platform,
Hear
right?
him out.
And
Hear him out.
it's
And also, and let's see what he has to say. I mean, look, I've been on shows where people don't agree with me. Totally fine. I could try to persuade them.
yeah,
I'll try to talk to them. I'll try to say, maybe make the case. But I'm not limited. I don't limit myself out there. I went on the Daily Show. I was
yeah,
invited on the Daily Show years ago.
yeah,
I knew they were to mock me, right? And then they ambushed me also though. They told me it was gonna be some leftist correspondent, and they put their liberal Muslim there, but they didn't tell me that. And I said fine. So
yeah,
we went at it for 3 hours,
yeah,
and it was funny. It was generally funny, and I think they regretted it because I was a good sport about it.
yeah,
They had some stuff in there. They were trying to mock me, but yeah. So meaning I'll go into the lion's den with
yeah,
no problem.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
happily go.
Yeah. And my point about Joe Rogan I want to make is that a lot of people don't understand this, and this is very important, is you have to allow people or appreciate that people can change their minds.
Of course,
One day
yeah.
they're all about Bernie Sanders, tomorrow they're all about Trump, the next day.
If they do that too much, you start to lose credibility. It's like if you do it one week, you're Kamala's kicking ass.
Yeah,
She's
of
doing
course.
great.
Yeah.
No, she's
Yeah.
an idiot. It's like, whoa, Joe, that was a week ago.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I
he's a grown
understand.
man. I understand people changing, over time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Week after week, that's tough, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's,
It's like you're just bouncing around just for the sake of
that's
it.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he's blasting his brain with drugs. Who knows how many drugs he takes now? I mean, I don't even know. But I can listen to an extent. And if he has me on, I'll definitely be on. But I would like to challenge him as well. About the issue of free speech, about the Joel Muhammad. He made a little reference to the Muhammad cartoon contest that I won actually on one of his shows years ago.
Yeah.
And he found it hilarious that he goes, these guys came into Texas, meaning you don't do that. You're stupid. You go into Texas where everyone has a gun, where everyone's carrying, which is funny. He goes to do a Muhammad, contest. You're going to go there and you're going to try to shoot. He goes, no, you're going to get killed. He goes, they got their heads blown off,
That's
and
funny
they did.
because if there's anywhere in the U.S. you want to do something like that, you do it in Texas. It's the land. It's the land of the free. It's the land of the
It
free
is.
expression, and that's
Look,
why
it's
Elon Musk is moving there because
100%. That's why Joe Rogan moved there. That's why a
yeah,
lot of people move there.
yeah,
They know that that's America. Really, that's the one that the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. That's where the things are. Governments are all corrupt everywhere we go, 100%.
yeah,
But still, you have a better chance of doing those type of things there than you have in the other states, especially California.
yeah,
I mean, they both moved from California to there. So yeah, it's just better off. It's just more of an American country, more of a free country, more of a free state. But it's so big, it's like its own country. So yeah, so that's the point he was making, and I agree completely. It's like, yeah, it's I bounce across the country as well. I mean, all over different places. But yeah, there's more freedom there. Let's just say
yeah,
there, Florida.
yeah. What do you see as like the if you look into the future and in terms of where you think Islam as a religion is going? I think it's growing. It's one of the fastest growing religions. There's about 2
I'll
billion.
argue about that. I'll argue about that because people said it was 1.5 a few years ago. Now they say 2 point something.
Yeah.
That's a big leap. I don't think it's a true leap, and it doesn't take into consideration the apostates,
Right.
those who are leaving.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't, and those who are being killed actually, from Hezbollah. I'm
Yeah.
joking. But the point is that me and my study of Islam, because again, I was raised Muslim, but I never read the Quran or anything until after the fact, until 9/11. So I studied it. I think they pump up the numbers a lot. I think they also they see me, right? They say, you were never Muslim. You're a liar. Muslims tell me. I'm like, okay. So if I'm not Muslim, that means all Albanians are not Muslim. That means all of Turks are not Muslim. That means all of this, that, and so on. you're discounting your own numbers. So even from their perspective, I think some of them are racist also, though. Some of the Arab Muslims are like, we know we're the real Muslims, okay? It started here,
Yeah,
okay, in
yeah, yeah,
Arabia.
yeah,
All the rest, you guys are just whatever. So they even discount the non-Arab Muslims, a lot of them do, as true Muslims.
interesting.
So that's another factor to diminish the numbers. But also the future, look, man, they have to be stopped with their jihad. They have to be. They have to join the civilized world. They have to. They have no choice. And they keep fucking with Israel. Israel's going to fuck with them back in major, major ways the way they're doing. And they fucked with the West, which, again, there's one website called thereligionofpeace.com. They compile all of the deaths due to jihad across the world. A dozen countries almost every time, right? 80 something this week, a few hundred last week. Thousands and thousands and thousands every year, thousands.
Yeah.
And when there's a weak American president, it was under Obama. After 8 years of Obama, 20,000 were killed that year. Right, 4 years of Trump, 10,000. Still too many, but it tells you something about the world. It's like they're not going to fuck around as much if there's a perceived stronger U.S. president, globally even. They're not going to fuck around that much. If Israel is showing strength, which it is, some of these guys will think twice about going jihad. Like, fuck, I don't think that's a good thing to do right now. They're going to get us, and they're going to outthink us also. And they won't say that publicly. They'll say, "Oh, they're using sorcery. They're doing this and that." I don't even remember years ago there was I did a cartoon in response to it, but they were saying, I think the Palestinians were saying that the Jews were controlling sharks to kill Muslims in the oceans. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah,
They actually believe this. They believe this. So I had a cartoon of the poster of Jaws, and I put, E where A was, Jews, right? It was a shark with the Jewish star made of it,
Yeah.
with a Muslim woman. She was swimming with her full, headscarf or whatever, burqa. And that's funny to me. It's so stupid. They actually believe that. They also believe that Israel, again, they used sorcery or something in this recent attack.
Yeah.
That's why they did it.
Yeah.
And they believe it. So yeah, they got to join the civilized world. Some have, absolutely. Some are willing to acknowledge Israel, like the Saudis were to some extent. Remember that with the Accords? They were willing to appreciate that. Say, okay, maybe we can live with these guys. But some will never. Iran won't. Iran just won't. And again, Iran are hardcore. They also hate the Saudis. The Saudis hate them. I mean, Iran and Iraq, 10-year war, if you remember, 1 million people died. So they got their own problems. Outside of Israel hating us, hating us and hating Israel, they have their own problems.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know, man. I just wish that you can mock them to the point of they start to rethink their connection to Islam and start seeing it.
That's a good
This
point.
is really stupid.
Yeah.
This is really stupid to be part of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Hating everyone else out of this, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Everyone outside of Muslims, we're supposed to hate because they haven't submitted. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And for me, it was no hard break when I left Islam. It wasn't like something happened tragic. No, I just phased out of it because I smelled the lies. I smelled everyone around me was just, they had the stench of dishonesty. They really did. About the world we live in, about Jews, about America. America was evil. It's like, you guys came here. You escaped from Albania, communist Albania to come here. What does that mean you hate America? It's just stupid. So I think if they were to pray 5 times, if they were to think 5 times a day instead of pray 5 times a day, we would have a different world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of praying 5, because if they think 5 times a day, it's like, why am I part of this religion? What am I doing here?
Yeah, and it's
So I think, the true believers, they're the danger and then also the passive Muslims don't have the Islamic argument against the true believers. That's also a major problem because you might have a decent Palestinian in there, but they have no Islamic argument against Hamas. None whatsoever. They don't. Kill the infidels where you find them is repeated throughout the Quran. Cut their fingertips off. Cut their throats. Kill the Jews. The Jews are the descendants of apes and pigs. This is, and it's the word of God, word of Allah. So it's immutable as far as they're concerned. It's unchangeable, right? That's a problem. But when you pummel the true believers into the dirt, like Israel has been doing, if America was to do that, if other countries were to do that, I don't know. I think if they start fearing us more than they fear Allah, I think we have a shot at them joining the civilized world and keeping Islam at bay. though there will always be the possibility that some true believers might come out and attack us, we have to protect ourselves from them. We sure as hell can't bring thousands or millions of them into our seas, into our shores. It's just stupid, especially after 9/11. There are more mosques in America after 9/11 than there were before. That's irrational. That's insane to me. And again, the more Muslims you have in areas, the more of a threat of jihad you have in areas. That's just a fact. Because then you have more true believers. The imams can become a little more strident. Like, hey, I got more numbers here. Let's just start muscling in on this area. Let's own this area. Let's own this town.
Yeah.
And that's why you have these conclaves of Islamic, areas where everyone's Muslim there. The stores, everything.
Yeah.
So it's a problem.
Are you aware of the Christchurch mosque shootings in New Zealand?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I condemn. Look, sorry. Just to mention quick. At the time, right, I was condemned. You know why? Because I condemned the murderer. I said, that's a savage. I said, he's the same shit as the jihadists. He's the same shit. He didn't go into a cave of jihadists. He didn't go into a compound that the Al-Qaeda's in. He went into a goddamn mosque of average everyday Muslims and slaughtered them.
Yes.
And I was condemned. And I was also applauded by people who assumed I would think otherwise. I said, don't applaud me for that. I don't want to be applauded for that. I said, I'm a human being who understands this is evil. That guy was evil. So I just have to make that note. So go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the point that I was making about how, you talked about, I guess, how extremist jihads kind of are a consequence of these people grouping together.
Yeah.
But one of the things that has happened from the Christchurch mosque shooting is the formation of the Christchurch Call.
What is that?
The Christchurch Call is a movement or a foundation that Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, put together with Macron and all the social media, with Twitter's founder Jack Dorsey, and was all about countering censorship and extremism online.
Okay. In what sense, though? I'm like, because these people sometimes they would want to have no criticism of Islam as well.
That's I think that's the argument that I want to make, that it has become a one-sided,
right,
to a point that the people who are contributing into this movement are the people who endorse and approve what is the scope of this movement are the people who are the imams and the people who run the mosques, and and they are the ones who are actually kind of orchestrating and controlling what's going on. I'm not suggesting that these are the people who congregate jihadists. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. They're just maybe Muslim abiding citizens and whatnot. But I have an issue with it because that then drives the you can't mock us.
Exactly.
Because if you mock us, then someone's gonna come and shoot us, right? That's the point that's the point that I was just trying to make there.
So they used it basically. They used it to try to protect Islam from being criticized, because if it's criticized, then the guy's going to come and look. We have the right to criticize anything and anyone and anything. We do. Whether we express that right, again, people think they tell me something like that. Free speech is over, man. I said, you're over. You're over. Once you let that freedom go, then if you act like free speech is over, it will be over. If we all act like that. And that's why a part of me is so adamant about keeping to draw Muhammad, because again, I know my peers won't. I challenge them even. None of them, answered the call. It's important to me, and it's also important for me to do talks. I did some talks, and I drew Muhammad in the middle of them. And it's important for me to show people this is okay. You might think this is a terrible thing. You might think, a lightning bolt's going to hit me right now. You might think the jihad is going to come through out of the closet and just try to kill me. It's a simple thing. It's stupid that these guys are going to try to murder me over this. It's a goddamn cartoon.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to hit home as well. It's just a goddamn cartoon. That's all it is. And your reaction doesn't make it terrible. Your insane reaction doesn't make this cartoon, terrible. It's you are terrible. You're the freak. I'm just an artist doing what to defy this enemy at war. And again, we are at war. The jihad rages on across the world. There are a few hundred people who are murdered every single week across the world. It's got to be fought. And the way I fight as artists is draw Muhammad and
Yeah.
Pigman taking out the jihadists.
And I think the mockery is an important piece because I believe it has an ability to expose the silent control, the silent powers that sit behind all of these extreme things, who drive this whole movement in Western societies, most importantly. You look at the UK and this mass migration of Muslims and
Oh
these
yeah,
Muslim ecosystems and imams and all these people that are organizing themselves. And all of a
yep,
sudden, you have all these government officials that are Muslim, and
yep.
they talk about
Islam.
Islam, and they also talk about modern issues like Israel and Palestine, but they do it in a
Yeah,
very jihadi way, from river to the
absolutely
sea,
do.
and it's
Absolutely do.
it's
They say
embedded.
that actually.
Yeah,
They
and
say that.
yeah, they do. Yeah, and they
Oh,
want Muslim prayer calls to be introduced in these
yeah.
Western
Yes, they
cities,
do.
and we have the same thing happening right now in
Also
Wellington,
in America.
in Wellington in New Zealand.
And they have the Mazoon. It's like, what?
And you
I'm
have
not
to
Muslim.
wonder, it's like, how the hell is this happening behind the scenes? It's not covered in
Yeah.
mainstream media. Who are these people driving it? How are they infiltrating these government organizations, then passing these laws
It's
that,
unfortunate, but sorry, these activists, especially politicians, they're activist Muslims. They're not just passive Muslims who have their private personal religion and they want to attend to their constituents, right? They don't want to do that. They want to shove Islam down our throats. It's like that's not your job as an American politician or a politician in New Zealand or a politician in UK. That's not your job. What are you doing here? You're trying to shove Islam into our face, but they can't help it. They're activist Muslims and they want power and they have power, right? So there's that I'm going to use my power here. I'm going to abuse it. Because if you notice, they're explicitly Muslim politicians. They're not, it's not their personal, private, religion. It's probably the most aggressive religion on earth, also, Islam. It really is. Christians and Jews won't be as adamant about implementing their religion into their. Some of them will maybe try to some extent, but no one tries as hard as Muslims, especially when they have power in the West. Their whole platform is like to defend Islam. It's like that's not what an American politician should be doing. You have constituents in this area that they're not Muslim. You're supposed to work for them. That's your job. You're supposed to protect Americans, not supposed to protect Muslims only. You're not supposed to promote Islam. But that's what they do. And again, the more activist they are, the more dangerous they are potentially. And again, someone who's going for power is going to be an activist. You're not going to have a passive Muslim going for power in America. It's not going to happen because they want to again use the power that they get in America to shove Islam down the throats, to make it illegal to criticize Muslims. There were people after the attack in Texas when I was there. They tried to say, okay, no more Muhammad cartoons contests. Okay, that's it. It's like no, more Muhammad cartoons now.
yeah,
Of course, there weren't any after. By the way, there
yeah,
weren't any. They were trying to have them, and that's when I really amped up the issue. I said, because first of all, you almost get killed. Yeah, and then you're put on a hate list as a hate group. I was literally put on the SPLX, the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's a piece of shit group, a leftist communist, and they had me as a hate group, a one-man hate group in there, and the media condemning us, right? The media telling us that we wanted to get killed. It's like I don't want to die. I want to live and draw Muhammad and be happy and be free and flourish.
yeah,
I don't want to die. But they said they went there. They knew what was to happen. Like, come kill us. It's like, why would we do that? It's stupid. But the point is that back to that, these activist Muslims will try to use power, political power, to shove Islam down the throats of their constituents and hopefully, from their perspective, spread Islam further in their areas. Bring more mosques into there. Bring more imams from overseas, the real deal, fire-breathing imams into the mosques from Saudi Arabia, from Iran, who knows. It's a problem, but they're very aggressive in their proselytization, very aggressive, to the point where, again, I think some of them do get into power in order to do that, in order
yeah.
to push it, but it's not their job.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about Iran, there's like I don't know, 80 million people in
I don't
Iran,
know.
and who chooses
but
the
it's small.
who chooses the supreme leader of Iran to run the country and look after the people? It's not a democracy. It's not a
No.
people's choice. It's the mosques, the leaders in like 8 or 10 mosques or something.
Yeah. The mullahs. The mullahs are
Mullahs,
really
yeah, yeah, and they are the ones who choose,
absolutely right.
and so they get into those positions of power, not anything to do with how can we serve individual rights and individual
Absolutely.
needs and drives. They're just focused on, we want to control and maintain our programming.
Period.
We
That's
see
it.
we see the West as evil.
Yeah.
Anybody that infiltrates our programming is evil. It's a virus. It's a malware. We have to protect that
Yeah.
virus. It's a mind virus, and our virus is the best way to live the life.
True. They do think that. And they're the greatest state sponsor of terrorism on earth, Iran. The greatest. They have their fingers in everywhere across the world. They sponsor, that's their goal. That's their life. That's what they do with their money. They don't do it for good. They kill their own, their citizens on the streets if they have to, if they get a little out of line. A lot of Iranians don't like their leaders either at all. So there's that also. And then on what grounds don't they like him? Don't they like him? Do they like him because they're true believer Muslims, or because they're not true believer enough from their perspective? I don't know. I just know that there are human beings across the entire Islamic world who don't have an opportunity to know themselves, to understand themselves, to understand life. It's tragic beyond belief. That's why I call the Islamic world the world where the bad guy won. That's really what it is. It's a world where the bad guy won. And the bad guy's ideas are still poisoning the entire part of the world, where they dehumanize themselves and others. It's not just that they dehumanize others; they dehumanize themselves from their own humanity. To celebrate the mass slaughter of human beings, to me, it's beyond. I don't know. It's alien to me. I can never imagine doing that. Now, when terrorists die, I'm like, fuck yeah, good. I want more of them dead. Cause why? Because they kill innocent people. That's why. It's not the point that I get off on it. But yeah, I'm like that. I can celebrate, but not in the way they do. I'm not going to throw candy and whoop it up with guns shooting in the air. But when I hear that Nasrallah got killed, that's a great day. It's a great day for Iranians also. I don't know how many of them appreciate it, but it's a great day for them as well.
Yeah, there's a
Because one of their
lot
heroes.
of I saw a lot of videos online of Iranians celebrating
Yeah.
the destruction of Hezbollah.
Right. Okay. So I've seen a little of it, but I don't know to what extent. I hope there's a lot more, because they can't allow, this group has to go, and they got to go. That's it. Wiped out. No more fucking around. No more leaders. No more new leaders. Get the hell out. It's over. But there are at least 140 Islamic terrorist groups across the world, though. That's the problem also.
Yeah, and I think
Across the
I
world.
think what is Israel doing now, which if they don't do this, then you're just gonna have new leaders come back,
Yeah.
and they are pretty much. I think the media is talking it down, but they are pretty much doing an invasion in the south of Lebanon, putting
are.
in their own people and their own military to control all the broken Hezbollah networks.
Yep.
If they don't do that, then they're going to regroup. Very simple, right?
They can't afford that. They can't afford that.
So Israel's, I think, philosophy is we got to take the leadership out, and I think the next leadership they probably want to take out is the Iran's Revolutionary Guard, which is
That would be awesome.
yeah, they are the ones who did the whole revolution, right, in the 1979 or whatever. There's a beautiful movie called Argo, and I don't know if you've watched Argo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's very good. Ben Affleck,
Yeah, and
very good.
I love the cartoon scenes. I'm sure you've appreciated those
I
cartoon
remember.
scenes.
Were they in the opening with the hostages? Was it when they were figuring out with the filmmakers and stuff? And
Yeah,
is that?
so in the end, when
I haven't seen it in years. But
in the end, when he's taking the Americans out of from the Iranian airport, he has the cartoons drawn on these boards, and then they're using the cartoons to convince the Revolutionary Guards that they're filmmakers. And
Interesting. Okay.
and
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
the Revolutionary Guard gets very angry with them because they have these women on the cartoons who are wearing like Western
Normal
outfits,
clothes.
and
That's right.
so it was very interesting. Yeah.
It was very good.
So yeah, I think Israel is doing everybody a favor in many
Absolutely.
ways, especially in the
And they're
Middle
keeping
East.
and they're showing us. They're showing us this is how it's done. And again, you could have taken down these rat bastards years ago. It's also another factor. Like, God damn it, more people are dead because they weren't taken out, and now less people will be dead because they are taken out. I mean, killing jihadists it saves lives. That's the ethos of Pigman, right?
Yeah,
Killing jihadists saves lives.
yeah.
Once you do that, they can't kill them anymore, and it's just important.
What do you think of the Quran? I don't know. You talked about that you've read it and you've mentioned a few things from it. But what was your like as a cartoonist? What was like the main humor or satire that you found in it, or stories that you thought, what the hell?
I mean, it's some funny stuff like Muhammad when he goes to his stepson because he had no biological sons. Muhammad,
Okay.
he had no biological sons. He only had daughters, and he had like I think 19, I guess, women in his harem. Some of them were wives, some of them weren't. He had some Jewish women from the Banu Qurayza tribe where he beheaded all their men, took some of their wives. So he didn't hate Jews that much. I mean, he was willing to have sex with them. Anyway, besides that, his son, he went to visit his stepson, right? And he wasn't home. And he sees his stepson's wife, and she's not really dressed. He sees her through this one little, I guess, I don't know, a piece of cloth, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, Allah gives him a revelation. Hey, you can have her. Don't worry about it. You can have her. He's like, really? So that's the kind of revelations that Muhammad got. Very convenient revelations. He told his stepson, he's like, I understand. But even the locals were like, I don't know about this guy, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know about this guy. So very convenient revelation. When he left from Mecca going to Medina, right, and he started to raid the Jewish caravans, he got more followers all of a sudden. And then when he got more followers, all of a sudden Allah said, you know what? You can start killing people. Yeah. After he got all the numbers, so very very convenient, and also he was killed by a Jew who poisoned him. Basically, that to me is, I let you know that Jews are bad, just so you don't forget. I was poisoned by a Jew. I was killed because of a Jew. So don't forget that. If there's one final thing that you remember. So yeah, and then also the Quran it's compiled from the longest to the shortest the surahs, the chapters. That's the way it's compiled. But according to Islamic history, the second to last or the last surah was the sword, the verse of the sword, where every chapter opens up with Allah saying the beneficent, the benevolent Allah, right? Except that one, because that one is all war for all time. Submit or die. That's when it says kill the infidels where you find them, cut their fingertips off. There are passages where it says kill and be killed, which someone could literally interpret as what? Suicide bombing, right? Kill and be killed, going into battle. And then also there are elements in there where not just the houris, the 72 virgins, right? You have the boys as beautiful as pearls, the servants. I think that's Muhammad trying to appeal to homosexuals in the area. I think so, because why do you put that in there? Boys as beautiful as pearls, and they're the servants. I got to draw them actually in this one. You know what? Let me show you quick here, because I want to do a little just if you don't mind.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, go for
yeah.
it.
This is one of the drawings I did for the Quran book. This is Paradise with the houris. They're all dressed in black with black eyes, and I have the boys as beautiful as pearls who are serving them as well. These are the martyrs. And of course, in paradise, you have wine, but you can't get drunk, right? And you can eat all you can eat, but you won't get fat. So all of these type of things. And then funny things like this. It wasn't in the Quran, but it was in Palestine. They caught some jihadists, right? And you know what they do? They wrap their penis in aluminum foil. You know why?
Why?
So they might not blow them off, so they could use it in paradise. I mean, some of these things. Pakistan. I'm just thinking about all these things. There's something called the Brides of the Quran, Pakistan.
Oh, that made me
It
laugh.
is. It's Muslim women who cannot marry. If they don't have a first cousin, they can't marry. They marry their first cousin. If they don't have them, what do they marry? They marry the Quran. the brides of the Quran.
Yeah.
And what happens is they stay at home with the Quran. They don't go out, so they get really their skin becomes dangerous because they don't have any vitamin D, any sun. And my thing is, well, that's not that bad because their husband won't beat them, right? The
Yeah.
Quran won't beat them, so it's not that bad. I mean, they'd rather marry a Quran than marry some savage Muslim. But yeah, the Quran is interesting, and also it's boring beyond belief. It is so boring, so repetitious, to the point where in my copy, I have me on Z's, Z, Z, Z. I'm like, "Ah, okay." And they stole a lot from the Torah, from the Bible. They stole a lot. And Jesus is a Muslim in the Quran. Moses is a Muslim in the Quran. Abraham, they're all Muslims.
Right.
All of them are Muslims. And the final Muslim, of course, was Muhammad. So it's funny and it's sick. And it's also, if you read it as an outsider, if you're not a Muslim, you can't help but be, wow, this book is really beating me. It's calling me evil. It's calling me this, calling me that, unless I
Right.
submit.
Right.
Nasty in your face. And again, it's not always fire and brimstone and killing. It's not. It's a lot of other stuff too. But to me, that overrides anything else. It's like this. They have this thing called the what's it called? The doctrine of abrogation. The doctrine of abrogation within Islam, right? That means if you have an early phrase, an early verse that is contradicted later, you go with the later one. Meaning, live and let live is contradicted by kill the infidels wherever you find them. It's contradicted, therefore you go with the later one. And then I think Muhammad was asked, or someone asked, hey man, if Allah's word is the word of God, why does he keep changing it? You know what I mean? He keeps changing. He keeps changing his own word. How can he if his word is perfect? So he was caught in those corners also. He goes, no. He found better ways to say it after the fact. Yeah, but he's perfect. So how can he find better ways? Shouldn't he find the best way first? So there were also elements in there. It's so contradictory as well. That's why you have the what do you call that? You got the biography of Muhammad, the Sirah. I think it's Sirah. And you have also the other books about the doings and sayings of Muhammad, which give a little more context to the Quran. So the Quran is understandable to some extent, but then you have the other ones which embellish, which actually say, okay, here's that one part of the Quran, go a little further. So yeah, funny, not necessarily, except for those type of things where he has the very convenient revelations, very convenient.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's boring, man. It's so boring.
It's interesting that they copied stuff from the Bible
Oh yeah,
and other books. It's like, hey,
they did.
if you really want to fight misinformation,
I mean, it's true. He did. He did copy though. He really did, and he also tried to get Christians and Jews to go for Islam hard. He particularly wanted the Jews for some reason. I guess they were the older, right, of the monotheistic religions. The first one, they were before Christianity. They were before Islam. So he wanted to get them on board because if he got them on board, they could say, "Hey, Islam is, is from Judaism to Christianity to everything," and they wouldn't go for it. And I think that's why he had a particular hatred about Jews because he couldn't get them on board, and therefore, like, fuck them, I'm gonna get them forever because they didn't validate me.
Yeah.
They were one of the oldest religions, right? They didn't validate me, so to hell with them. So that's why there's that animosity, that real hostile attitude about Jews from Muslims in particular, because they hate all non-Muslims, but it's the Jews that they really, really hate.
it's interesting that you talk about the aggression of having you submitted into the
Yeah.
religion. And do you think the origins of Islam was from some sort of like extreme hatred of other
As
groups
in,
of people or other groups of
I
religion?
mean,
Or
I think it was Arabs getting together and said we need to get in on this religion racket. I think that's what it was. I really believe it. I really
okay,
believe it, and that's why people even question the existence of Muhammad. There are books who I said I don't give a shit if he exists or not. Muslims believe he existed. That's why you got to go with it. It's like okay, whether he exists or not doesn't matter. They believe he did.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I believe it was a pack of Arabs who said, "Look, we got to get in on this because they got something else, and we can also what we can do here is we can maintain our ways, right, with our sword and death and killing and stealing and robbing, and put a religious veneer on top of that, so make it more appealing to others to get in on it, and we call ourselves good by doing, we can still do all the evil that we've done, but now we can call ourselves good, and we're doing it for God. So I think that was also a factor. Whether he exists or not, again, to me, it doesn't matter. Muslims believe he existed. They act in his name, especially the true believers. And again, the biggest problem for Islam is the fact that their prophet was a warlord. You know, it's a historical fact, according to Islamic history, at least. Whether it exists or not, doesn't matter. According to Islamic history, he was a warlord. That's a problem for a religion that wants to go by the religion of peace. It's like, what's the peaceful, I guess, prophet doing with swords? You know, what's that about? Why would a prophet have a sword? Why would he force people to submit to his religion? Why would he try to kill those who leave the religion? Very militaristic, right? It's like if you leave a military, sometimes you get court-martialed, sometimes executed, right? At least back in the day. That's how Islam was built, you know. If you leave the religion, you got to kill them. You have to kill them. That's it. The apostates are to be killed. Me and you, in other words, you know, we're dead men walking, according to them.
Yeah.
For the crime of leaving this great thing that we were born of. We had the gift of being born. But then again, there's another conceit of Islam. We were all born Muslim. All non-Muslims were born Muslim. There's another conceit.
Interesting.
Everyone was born Muslim. All Jews, all Christians, all atheists. But we were perverted away from it from our elders, from our parents.
Yeah.
We were lied to. And Muhammad came here to tell the truth. And we don't listen to him, man. So therefore, you know, we're evil.
Yeah.
It's so self-serving, a lot of it, man. So self-serving.
How did Prophet Muhammad die, and do you capture that in your cartoons?
I drew a skull with a turban once on his death day.
Okay.
That's what I did to celebrate his death day. Again, according to Islamic history, he was poisoned by a Jewish girl. That's how he died. A Jewish spy, I guess, in their mind, right? They want to amp it up, you know. The Jews killed him. The Jews killed all the prophets, right? They killed Jesus. They killed, you know, from their perspective, you know. So it
sounds like he had a thing for Jewish girls.
He sure as hell did. Again, he took out the Banu Quraysh tribe. It's again, according to Islamic history, 600 to 900 men were beheaded in these ditches that they built. And I drew that actually for a book cover once. And I got Muhammad with a sword, and they're all lined up. And he took their wives. He took their women. You know, he didn't. Again, he hated Jews, but loved some female Jewish flesh. Let's just say, and they probably, you know, had to become Muslim. They had to say the Shahada, the declaration of faith prior to having sex with them. Probably, right?
Yeah.
You know, there was no God but Allah, and Muhammad was the messenger. But they were Jewish, so he didn't mind that if they were pretty. You know. It's like that one Nazi in the movie Schindler's List, where he had a crush on that one Jewish woman, right? Even though she was a Jew, he found her beautiful, and he hated himself for it. But you know, he still mistreated her as well. So yeah, they will hate them unless they come in a beautiful form, and then they will partake in them. Then they will, you know, do something with them. So that's pretty funny, also. I mean. But yeah, it's a whole thing, and I forgot more than most people will know about this because I overdid it after 9/11. I've read dozens and dozens of books. I read thousands of articles, literally.
Yeah.
I wanted to know the enemy inside and out before I take them on in my PIGMAN comic, and it helps me. It helps me take on the story, and I weave in all my knowledge with an interesting, entertaining way because it's very easy to get didactic and just throw it on the reader. I said, no, I'm going to have debates, I'm going to have panels, conventions, I'm going to have the battles, clearly, where Pigman takes them out. But I also want these things where I can integrate them into the story and make it entertaining still. And I think I've been able to do that, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are you working on next?
Well, I'm adapting a novel, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a few hundred pages. I've been doing it for the last year or two. That's why I've had to put Pigman aside and some other stuff on the side. But that's the big one. It'll be 350 pages probably when it's out by next year. And it's. I mean, I left Islam and I was in limbo. I was like, okay, I love truth. I love morality. I still love it all. I just, you know, you could be a moral person without being part of religion. You know that. I know that. A lot of people don't know that. They think without God you're evil. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Anyway, so I'm adapting that, how it worked. The Architect, The Fountainhead. It's my favorite novel ever, hands down. So for me to get this opportunity is fantastic. Yeah.
That's awesome. And when it's going to be out and in what format?
Next year.
Next year is just going to be like a book?
A graphic novel, and it's taller than, because since it's about an architect, I want to make it a taller book.
Okay.
Look like building almost. That was my thinking, and I convinced the people who were paying me to do that. First, they were a little resistant. I said, let's just make it look different as well. Why not?
Yeah.
So it's my tallest pages I've ever drawn, 14 by 21. They're huge sheets.
Wow.
And it'll come down to 8 by 14 in the actual print. So it's pretty damn cool. It's just doing that. It's a philosophy. It's Ayn Rand's philosophy. It's her dramatization of her philosophy, objectivism, the Fountainhead, about an architect who defies society and their rules and does his own work his way.
Yeah.
And he comes with a lot of conflict, and it's brilliantly written. Greatest villain. I mean, to me, it's the greatest hero, the greatest villain, the greatest anti-hero, greatest tragic hero in literature. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it really is.
And
So
are you old school in terms of like using pencil and paper to
yeah,
do your
I
sketches,
do.
or is it all digital, or?
I pencil and ink all my work
Yeah.
on paper,
Yeah.
and then I digitally color it and I digitally letter it. I used to do everything. I used to, write pencil, ink, letter, everything, hand letter. But I got to say, after 80 pages of lettering, God damn it, your fingers are like,
Yeah, you.
you got to keep it,
I'm surprised that
so.
your hands are still functioning and they look
It's
really.
true.
Yeah.
They're painful. And then when I saw digital, I said, I can type these in and look better than what I do. Okay. And color, I never got the hang of doing all the color, but I do, everything is on paper. I pencil and ink on paper, and then I scan it and digitally color it and letter it. So yeah.
Okay.
So old school in that sense. Even though I do like drawing my iPad sometimes, but it's not much, just like little doodles and
Yeah.
sketches.
And all your work are black and white, yeah?
It's black and white. All my original works is black and white. All my original work is black and white. And then, of course, when it comes to PIGMAN books, it's all colored.
Okay.
My first book was a gray wash, like a gradations of gray, like an old black and white movie. I love that quality. And it was my first book 20 years ago, this year. My first book, 20 years ago, Table for One. It's a drawing behind me.
Yeah.
I walk into a crowded room, not a soul in sight. It's about a waiter one night in an underground restaurant. Anything that can happen does happen. I pitched it as Dirty Harry as a waiter. That's how I pitched it.
Yeah.
And people get the idea. I say, okay, he's a little hard ass and he's doesn't take shit.
Yeah.
So
And do you
wouldn't think that.
do you do cartoons for like newspapers and magazines, like
do.
how they have
do.
those like cartoon sections?
Oh yeah, I did for 14 years. I did cartoons for Front Page Magazine, David Horowitz's publication online. 14 years I did that, and for articles by Daniel Greenfield, and then I started doing ones for Jihad Watch, Robert Spencer, and I did it 14 years, and then this year that came to an end, unfortunately. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I can do an entire collection of them. I mean, literally thousands of them, thousands of those cartoons.
Yeah.
And they were political cartoons. They were, funny. They were mocking the bastards. They were this. They were everything, pop culture, all these things that we mock. And so yeah, I did that for 14 years.
Yeah,
It was great.
it'd be fun if you can do that yourself and just post them on X.
True.
Like
I mean, I do
you
post.
the page, like you can quickly do one with the pager
Right.
bombs, right?
Oh yeah.
Or a jihadist with a tinfoil penis, and just
No-
post it directly, and
hilarious.
create your own news cartoon channel
can
on
do that.
X. That'd
I
be
can do
super
that.
cool.
I mean, I have a growing YouTube channel now. It's my ex is pretty good. I was banned years ago on Twitter for 5 years, 6 years, and then when Elon came back, I was able to get my account, not my old account, but a new one.
Yeah.
So I got 26,000 followers. My last one, it was not like 6 years. I built up 14,000 within a year or two, 26,000. So it's
Yeah.
a different beast here because
Yeah.
more interaction, and also they're not punishing me as much as they used to about Mama cartoons. Last year they did. Not in a while. So it's pretty good. But then again, people say you're being shadow banned to me. I'm like, maybe. Am I? I don't know.
Well, let's see how this podcast does on X.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
we both might end up getting banned.
I mean, it's possible. And look, I'm used to it by now. I mean, I really am. I've lost 20,000 followers across platforms in the last, I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah.
It's to be expected, but If I don't, great, because I want to expand. I want to get out there. I want to push these things. I want to push these ideas. And again, free speech, free speech, free speech. If there's one issue that is my main issue, that's the issue. It's not so much Islam or even Muhammad. Muhammad takes the form of it, right? But it's free speech. Persuade, argue, tell the truth without being punished. I hope we can do that over and over again.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah,
There are forces.
I think you guys have a very important election coming up in terms of free speech. You've got, I think,
do.
you've got Kamala and Tim Walz. They are pretty much gonna clamp down on people like yourself in terms of free expression. They pretty much think the First Amendment is a threat to
It's a
society. And
John Kerry literally said that.
Yeah, he
John
said-
Kerry said that.
Yeah.
Literally the old.
he's going
about
viral on
indigenous-
X. Yeah, yeah,
There's a problem. The First Amendment is a problem. This is an American speaking. He's
Yeah.
a communist. I mean, he's flat out a communist, and he always has been a communist.
yeah. And so yeah, you guys have something very important coming up, and I think RFK Jr. with Trump and Elon Musk being on the same team, and Tulsi Gabbard, and I think that's a powerful focus on just I think if how you felt like when you came back on X with Elon taking over and the and the boost of that following you got.
Yep.
I think Americans are going to feel the same once Trump gets elected. We're just talking about free speech. We're not talking about politics.
Absolutely.
We're not talking about politics. We're talking about free
True.
speech. I think
He will not crack down. He will not crack down. That's a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah,
He did it before, and he won't now.
he will open
They
it up
will.
more. He'll open it up more.
Kamala Harris's administration will try to go after Elon.
Yeah.
She will try to bring down X. 100% she would, because she knows that's the one oasis for them for free speech. Like we can't have that. We can't.
And
They
if
have
it-
Facebook.
yeah.
These other ones.
The only reason Trump will not win this election is because the Americans are not ready to deal with all this free speech. They just cannot handle it. Their brains are gonna fucking explode. Because there's
Look.
a lot of Americans in
I know.
media that are struggling to deal with the amount of free speech exists
I
on
know.
X. Even Joe Rogan can't
know.
deal with it. He can't deal with
know.
it. He can't
I
stay on
know.
the platform. So the
Believe me,
only
I-
reason if he's not going to win Trump is because Americans are not ready to deal with the reality of being individuals with the ability to
We talk a
express
good game
themselves.
about. We talk a good game about freedom Americans. We do. We talk
Yeah.
a good game about it.
Yeah.
A lot of us believe it, and some of us absolutely don't. Absolutely don't believe it, because we want to shut people up. We want to. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. Good. Don't look.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't look.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
I mean, leave.
Yeah.
You're the problem. We're not the problem.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but I don't think they could steal it twice in a row. I just don't think so. Personally speaking, I don't. I know they did it last time. I don't. She's such a bad candidate. She's so bad. And Trump, having survived these 2 assassination attempts, he's become legendary. He's become epic. He's become something that we haven't seen before in politics. Going up there and saying fight, 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 fight after he gets shot.
Yeah, that's-
What politician would do that?
That's
I
amazing.
mean, that's an epic moment. And
Yeah.
Americans, I think, even to those who were Democrats, like, damn it, that was badass.
Yeah.
That was.
But there's a lot of dumb Americans too. That's why Kamala,
Absolutely. 100%.
retarded,
They're gonna vote
is
for
up
her.
there, right? So there's a lot of retarded
a
people. as
lot
well.
of idiots.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At least half
And
of
we have to-
Americans.
At least. But I just think again, for our self-preservation, I think voters will go there in the booth and they might tell their friends they're voting for her and look around and vote for him. I think there'll be enough of those. I really believe it. I do.
Yeah, I think
because
it's
now
coming.
we're at a point of self-preservation. We will not be America if this continues.
Yeah,
if
oh
this
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
administration, it won't.
You turn
With
into
America- with-
Argentina.
Sorry.
You will turn into the old Argentina with
100%.
like insane amount of inflation and
We will, and we can't afford that. And I think there'll be enough Americans to pull us through.
yeah.
To pull the
Yeah.
idiots. Say, idiots, yeah, we know what you want, but
Yeah.
I think enough of us will do it. I just think so.
Yeah.
Again, because Trump is a different beast at this point. He's not what he was in the first time. He's not what the second time. He's a little different this time.
Yeah.
His attitude, and again, his courage, flat out. And we can't say that about politicians, right? That takes a set of balls to get shot, literally blood all over your face, and go out there and say, and to come out and what does he do? He doesn't stop his campaign. He goes full throttle. He goes
Yeah.
even harder.
Yeah.
And he does interviews in the Lion's Den. He does these with leftists. He does with communists. He goes out there. That's admirable. It's admirable.
It is, yeah. Especially from your view of the world, as someone who's got so many death threats and been at an event that's been shot at, and him facing assassinations, and the
And
courage
I've
he's showing,
100%. And I've come a long way with
and you
Trump.
have
I
to double
mean,
down when you're in that situation. A lot of people
have to.
around you say, "Hey, you gotta back down." It's like, no, that's the
No,
worst thing you
never.
can do. You need to
Absolutely
actually
right.
double down, and you need to like get in there and do
There's a
more of
history
it.
with Trump and me also in terms not personal, but well, somewhat personal. The first time he ran, he condemned our Muhammad contest event. What are they doing, draw Muhammad? Come on, can't they draw something else? So I drew him as Muhammad, drawing. Can you draw something else? I said, sure, I'll draw you as Muhammad. And then he goes on radio shows and TV shows condemning us. It's like, why don't you condemn those who try to kill us? What the hell is this?
Yeah,
And then I couldn't vote for him. I was like, on principle, I couldn't. I said, fuck him. He completely betrayed us. And then 2020 comes. I'm like, I got to vote for him. I can't let these guys. And now I'm proudly going to vote for him.
yeah,
I can't wait to vote for him at this point. Because again, he's a different, he's hardened, but in a better way, as in, I think he's become a little more American. I think he's become a little more anti-communist, anti-socialist, anti-collectivist. I think he has. Before, I don't think he understood as much as he does now what he's dealing with.
yeah.
He's dealing with a major domestic threat. This is a domestic threat at this point, the left.
Yeah, and
The
the deep
communists are
state is
domestic.
pretty much destroying what America is.
They
And one of
are.
the things that people don't talk a lot about is BRICS. I don't know if you heard about BRICS.
You mean the British,
No.
the,
So the BRICS is a set of new countries that are coming together, and they essentially don't. They believe that
not
there's
the European Union, they want something BRICS. It's called BRICS. Now, these are countries from where? From Europe or from,
no, it's not Brexit. It's
no, no,
China,
no,
India,
BRICS.
South Africa,
Okay.
and they're coming together, and they essentially want to remove the reliance on the US dollar being a reserve currency.
Right.
And because they think that the Americans, they're weaponizing the dollar and they're controlling the world, and
Yeah.
they want to essentially move and give the Chinese yen the reserve currency power and trade into that, and it's getting a lot of momentum. It's getting a lot of
Yeah.
traction,
That's a problem.
and
That's a problem.
it is a problem. And I think Trump is the only one that's talking about crypto and new digital currencies and this and
It's,
that. And hey, I'm not
no,
into that
Trump is
world,
very,
but there's a
I
lot of
mean, Trump is,
movements
he's pretty
against.
progressive. He's not a progressive, but he's a little progressive in his thinking. He's also one guy in his 70s, right, almost 80, who's willing to change on certain things.
Yeah,
That's very rare for a guy his age. Very rare. They're
yeah,
locked into it, right? He's always willing to listen a little more. Okay, that's a good point. Maybe I'll consider that. No politician does that. They're just locked into their ideology. Period. And that's why I think some people resent him. Some people on the right can't vote for him. They'll vote for Kamala. People on the right who are capitalists. It's like I put a cartoon. I said, "Hey, you guys on the right are voting." I said, so I put that. You went that clip from you went full retard. What's it called? Downey Jr. played the black
oh
guy, the
yes,
Australian.
yes.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I
You
forgot the
went
name of the
retard.
movie.
Tropic Thunder. Tropic
Yes,
Thunder.
yeah, Tropic
I
Thunder.
put that
Yeah,
clip out there because it's like, and these are people I know. Some of them. I'm like, you guys are retarded. You truly are. You know what she is, but because you can't stand him on a personal level, it's like you don't have to deal with him personally. You never have to see him in your life. Don't take it personally, whatever it is. I mean, whatever you don't like about him, it's you, really.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is you.
It's I feel sad for her because I feel like she is trying really hard when she's naturally when you're a mixed race person, like she's what is she, Indian, white,
Indian
and black?
and Jamaican, I think, well, Jamaican, but I don't know. There's people said, I don't think he's
Yeah.
Jamaican, they're saying.
So
So
it's
she's
it's
not.
it's funny, right? It's like when she's naturally in her Indian state of mind, she feels like she has to force the black out of her to appeal
Yes.
to the black people, and
And
it's
yes,
very unauthentic. It's like
it is
people
inauthentic.
people
Everything he
people see
says.
it. It's I get this a lot, right? I used to when I run into Arabs in New Zealand or in the Western world, they are expecting that I express my Arabness, and
Right.
if I don't, they try to get it out of me.
Huh.
Do you know what I mean?
In what way?
Oh,
Just curious.
they're like, hey, they start talking to me in Arabic,
Interesting.
right? And I'm like,
No.
whoa, okay, I can speak a few words, and they're like, you don't, and I'm like, or maybe I would say certain words in a very lavish Arabic way, but they'll
Right.
be like, oh, this guy can speak the whole thing, and then I don't, and then you can see their face expressions change, right? But
So
what
you're
I
saying for her, she's trying to, because
yeah,
if you
she's
know her, she's
falling
changing
for
her
it.
voice. Literally,
Yeah.
she's changing her voice.
Yes.
And
So
it's
so
an
that's
Irish
one
thing.
thing I think is like very unauthentic that I purposely like pull myself out of if I'm dragged into that situation, right?
Right.
Because I don't want to do it. It's the same with you, right? If all of a sudden some Muslims say like, "Hey, we love you, come on," you're not. It's unauthentic for you to be like, "I'm a Muslim now,"
Completely.
and
Completely.
you're taking authority of the situation. You're like, "No, I was and I was not, and I'm not," and
But she's a chameleon. She has no strong sense of self. She has no sense of self. She doesn't. She's a politician. She's
yeah,
a real politician, and she's a mess. And she's such a bad candidate. I mean, and plus the guy waltz with her. Have you seen him walk around and putting his arms up? It's like, what's going on here?
yeah,
The guy's not
it's
comfortable in his own skin. It's very strange.
so weird.
And and this is like the first real, almost explicit communist ticket that we've had. Almost explicit. And you got the left worried about it because they're calling her communist. It's like, yeah, that's right, and you're worried about it. That's a good thing. They're having actually these segments on their shows now. They're calling her communist, and they're worried about it, which is awesome because they're like, fuck. Because they don't, communists don't announce themselves until they're secure in their power.
Yeah.
They don't, especially in non-communist countries, they don't do that. They're like, the last thing you do is mention that you're a communist. Pretend that you're not. Okay, don't admit it. Don't concede it. Pretend you're not. And then, but once we take over, then we can say, of course, then we're communists. So they're worried about it, and that's great because when Trump had the debate, he goes, "You're a Marxist. Your father's a Marxist." I love that. It puts them on their heels. They're like, ah, shit. Because there's nowhere to go at that point. Like, fuck. They know we're trying to subvert the country. They know that. So it's a real problem for them politically.
Hey Bosch, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having me.
We've just
Appreciate
over
it.
2 hours. Can you tell
Awesome.
us? Can you tell us your social media channels
Yeah.
and your
X,
website as well?
the Bosch Fawstin, the Bosch Fawstin at the Bosch Fawstin on X, BoschFawstin.com. I have a store. I have a blog on there. Check it out, and also YouTube channel. I have just Bosch Fawstin. Check it out when you can. I've been trying to build up my channel for the last few months. So thanks for having me.